All right, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, December 23rd, 2022. If you're not done so already, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, last day before Christmas, and we do have a 3-day weekend. Remember, markets are closed Monday. Bond market was shortened, had a shortened session today, only by like an hour, I think. But yeah, so a bit of a light volume session here today. Spiders are kind of floating up 25 basis points right now and really just hanging in there. We did have the PCE numbers earlier. We had a little bit of volatility. It looks to me like the kind of market makers kind of bagged some puts in the first half hour. There was a little bit of a dump there. And there was kind of a little bit of a kind of a negative reaction at first. We pushed down and then we pushed right back up and then we kind of faded that, and that can usually often create a pretty negative feel when you reverse a sell-off and then that fades. It usually creates a pretty negative feel. I think the market makers kind of used that to our advantage and they pushed it up here, and now we're just kind of pinned here into this kind of 3860 area. I think there's a 382 pin. I believe there's a little bit of gamma there for the week, but market's basically hanging in there, and you can see if we just look on the spiders intraday, you basically still have kind of an ascending triangle type formation. So, I mean, it's constructive for next week. I don't expect a whole lot of fireworks. I think a lot of what happened yesterday was window undressing. I did mention that in the live stream. Also possible rescue plan of somebody who forgot to cover in November. But I think it was a lot of window undressing and like end of year cleanup, that type of stuff, tax law selling. And I think the institutions did it all in one day. And as soon as they got done, you can see the market, floated right back up, actually ripped right back up. And now we're just kind of in float mode here, just kind of drifting higher. And I expect that for next week too. I'm not expecting necessarily a rip your face off rally, maybe kind of like a bore your face off rally. So just kind of a light volume float. It is a shortened week. I do think a lot of the big players are probably already on vacation. Probably a lot of them trying to get ahead of the little global vortex, whatever it's called, the polar vortex or cyclone bomb, whatever they're calling it now. Hopefully I get power here. We're supposed to get pretty good snow or 60 mile an hour gusts of wind to where I'm living. So hopefully everything goes good. But in any case, market's hanging in there. Let's not make too much out of it today. Basically a light volume float, little holiday rally here after the lows. Now, I do think we did put in a significant low here, at least for the next maybe week or two, couple of weeks. That's a pretty good tail candle you got there on the daily with volume behind it. And we tested that gap, and we didn't fill it on the spiders. We did fill it on the triple Qs though, and it tested. The Qs are a little bit softer here. That continues to be the case here, but they'll probably scratch out a gain, I would think, here, at least for the day. Markets close in about 20 minutes. Again, we're just kind of in that kind of holiday type mode here. If they do push it up somehow, well, I don't think we'll get there now, but there is some liquidity around 3880 on the ES, which equals to about 384 on the spider. So maybe that's a target for Monday, or I should say Tuesday. But overall, we're expecting a little bit more of a drift here to the upside for the triple Qs. You probably have some pretty good resistance here at 280. I would find it pretty hard. I'd be hard pressed to think it could get through that without some type of major catalyst here. But that is kind of your move to the upside here. And then the spiders, of course, the 390 level. You could get a little bit through that, though. There is a gap to fill up here. And then, of course, there's that trend line up above. It's tough, though. December is a tough month. There's always the end of year tax law selling, always jockeying for position. There's the, the window dressing, window undressing, that type of thing. So it's a little bit harder to predict here how January is going to play out, but I do think we at least quiet down next week. It's pretty amazing yesterday, the kind of volatility that we saw, like 2 days before Christmas. So pretty amazing moves here, and it's been a good year, and I do think 2023 is going to be even better here for trading. But in any case, yeah, those are the levels I'm looking at here on the spiders. I do think we have a pivot low. If we close below this at any point, that is a huge problem for the spiders. You can see here on the weekly, though, we basically came down into this green bar low, and that got defended. So we'll give the market the benefit of the doubt for now. IWM doesn't look like it's going to get above that 175 level, so that's a pretty important area. So it's going to close the week below that, which is a negative. It did close last week below it as well. So IWM continuing to be under pressure, and the diamond here up decently, up 33 basis points right now. And again, it did test that trend line again yesterday. Had a nice little tail candle, so maybe this can go up test 336, maybe fill that gap next week. Definitely can't rule that out, but yeah, diamond a little bit on the stronger side as far as the indices are concerned. Semiconductors, nice rebound here, but they're still negative on the day. You had it sold off pretty sharply in the morning, got right back to the flat line. Now we're kind of just consolidating here. Again, this isn't a terrible pattern, even though it's negative on the day. But semiconductors still under a lot of pressure. Micron's earnings yesterday definitely having a lot to do with that. Although that's a nice, I actually kind of like Micron here. I did day trade this earlier today, by the way, but double bottom, nice little tail, and not a terrible defense candle there. Nvidia still remains under a little bit of pressure though. But again, that did get defended at the 50 and 100 moving average. So it's holding up for now. In the semis, again, like I said, that 50% fib got hit yesterday, and we're just kind of holding that area right now. I do think you could go up and back test 215 though. So those would be your levels there. On the upside, IGV, a little bit of an inside day. Let's not make much out of it. Looks like everything else here on the intraday. The transports, if you remember yesterday, I basically bookmarked this for you guys. I said, look, watch tomorrow. They need to get it above 13,475 by the close. That is going to happen today, unless there's a massive dump that I don't see happening in the next 10 minutes. But yeah, it is going to hold that. So you technically still have an inside bar here. So that is an inside bar pattern on the transports. This can still trade up, believe it or not. I know you did some daily chart damage here, but the weekly chart is more dominant. And that is a good sign for the markets here in the near term. It's also one of the reasons why I'm giving the market the upside bias here going into the end of the year, maybe even to the first week or two of January. But again, we'll see what we get. Dow Transport's holding up okay. Interest rates, TNX, nice pop there, up 2.23%. That'll have a little resistance at the 50, and then kind of this little pivot area here around, we'll call it just 38.50. The TYX, I did close my TMV position. So that was a nice little gainer for us on just under 13% on that one. You guys know I've been talking about the buy signal on the 30-year yield, and that has played out nicely to the upside there. So you can see the weekly getting a really nice bounce off of that level, pivot high. This could still put in lower highs and could do some more backing and filling. I can't rule that out. You'll have a little resistance with this pivot, 50 moving average there, a little bit of a chop area, bear flag. That's where you broke down. So you'll have some resistance up ahead. But yeah. Nice little gainer there for us. We also took some profits on MSOS today. That got a nice little bid here. This is a little January effect play, but going into the weekend, we've got a perfect month for the month of December so far. I'd rather just take the profits and run. But anyways, interest rates, back to the interest rates here. 2-year, down 10 basis points today, a little bit on the weaker side, but again, you still have a daily inside bar. It's holding up. You don't want to see it close below this low. That would spell serious problems for the market. Okay, if the 2-year starts selling off again, that's going to be really problematic for the market. But for right now, it's hanging in there. This inverse head and shoulders is still in play, and it can still get up there. But just watch that for next week. XHB home builders hanging in there as well, just like everything else. ITB, same thing there. VNQ getting a little bit of a bid. Again, this is still resistance up here at 84. We'll just call it $84 there even, and that is a failed head and shoulders on the daily. XLF, not really a good look here. So down move, even the light volume not really helping out. Down move, and now you're just chopping sideways, right? So you can make a case. You got kind of like a bear flag here in play on the daily XLF there. So we'll be watching that into next week. And again, I still maintain I do not like the financials here moving forward. Do not like them going into January. But for right now, if the market holds up, it's likely that they will hold up as well. XBD getting a little bit of a bid, but still not above yesterday's high. Again, this is still kind of putting in inside bar type action here, so be careful with that. Crude getting a nice little bid here today as well. A little bit of a higher high. We'll see what it does here. I'm still not in love with it. I want to see how it reacts off that 50 moving average, and we'll just go from there. But it is off the lows, and energy actually holding up really well. Take a look at XLE. That's a nice move here, and it's actually getting a bid here in the last 10 minutes. Let's see if that's taking the market. Yeah, taking the markets up just a little bit. So XLE definitely the leader. You see the semis starting to pop just a touch. VIX is coming in there. So, maybe we get a little last minute rally there, but XLE holding up well. XOP, same thing, although that is coming into that 200 moving average. We'll see how it reacts there. And then OIH with a higher high. So this one continues to outperform, but this still has a lot of resistance up here in this zone. So just be careful with energy. I don't think it's anywhere close to done backing and filling just yet, at least on the energy side. Equities, but they're holding up well, and they're still basically, really leading the market here. Nat gas, that did get to my level here today. I did open a small position in that, just full disclosure. And we'll see what it does here. It's got a nice little bid. You got a little tail candle off the lows. You got a reaction, and that's really all you're looking for. So we'll see if nat gas can get a bid. I don't care about the weather or anything about in regards to nat gas. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about the charts here. I can tell you countless times where I've saw nat gas, a big cold front comes through and nat gas sells off anyway. And nat gas will do its own thing. Don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the news, because the news is just noise. But it did hit a level, and I do think, nat gas has been respecting this level for 3 years. So until it proves otherwise, I'm going to go with it. So nat gas getting a bounce there. We'll see what it can do going into next week. Dollar index, kind of a nothing burger here, down 9 basis points. Again, I still think this has one more leg down. I think gold has one more leg up here. Well, resistance is at 1875, so be aware of that. Silver also holding up really well, but this will come back in as well. Again, don't chase it. Nothing's really changed as far as my opinion on the metals. Take a look at platinum, though. 460. Wow, really nice reversal there today on platinum. And it held that 50 moving average, I guess, and that trend line. So it kind of farted around there, right, for a little bit. And then really nice bid here on Friday. So platinum getting a bid. I really like it right here. We'll see if we can get through this trend line here right at about 1050. We'll just draw that in there. I'm just going to get rid of this one. So, again, nice little big wedge pattern. Maybe it bounces around a little bit more, but platinum putting in nice consolidation. I like what it's doing. And then copper here. Nice little gain today, up 1.5% here. And again, you do have, so for what it's worth, you have the down move, weekly inside bar, right, bearish. But inside of that, you do have a small bullish inside bar. So maybe this can get up. It still has to get above 396, though, on a weekly close in order to negate this pattern, if you ask me. But copper holding in there for now. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And then Bitcoin, lastly, another nothing burger here, up 25 basis points with the rest of the market. Let's take a look at it intraday. Yeah, it's actually kind of dipping down just a little bit here, not doing a whole lot there. On the futures, big picture, everything remains the same. Anyways, looks like we're going to get, look, a little bit of backing and filling here. It looks like a 382 pin currently. But overall, this does look like a constructive pattern, at least for what it's worth, going into Tuesday. And again, just to kind of draw it back in there for you, you do have a nice little ascending triangle with higher lows. So maybe maybe the market can get a bid on Tuesday. Maybe we can get kind of a light volume float. We'll see what we get here. Remember, we do have that fake print still on the spiders at 386.21. So I do think it at least fills that gap at some point next week. So we'll look for maybe a little bit more upside. I do think it's going to be more of a bore your face off rally, not a rip your face off rally. Maybe a day where Apple and Google are up, everything else is flat, and then a day where Microsoft and Tesla are up, and then everything else is flat. That type of deal here. I'm not expecting a huge broad-based ripper, but it does look like the market has calmed down a little bit here, and we should get a little bit of less volatility. Anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys have a great holiday. Take care. I'll talk to you guys all next week.